Elon Musk encounters a genius homeless engineer. What happens next will shock everyone. On a chilly morning in Tech Valley, Elon Musk, the man behind world-changing innovations, came across an unusual sight in the park: a man in tattered clothes, with calloused hands, meticulously repairing an old, battered electric scooter. Most people would have walked past without a second glance. But Elon stopped. There was something about the way the man worked, focused, precise, as if every wire and bolt held profound meaning, that sparked Elon's curiosity. That man was Nathan, a brilliant engineer who once stood at the peak of his career, now forgotten by society. But what Elon didn't know, and what the world would soon discover, was that this unexpected encounter would not only change Nathan's life but also open a new chapter for the future of humanity. Stay tuned, because what happens next will leave you utterly speechless. It was a serene morning in Tech Valley. Gentle sunlight filtered through the trees in the Central Park, creating a peaceful ambience amidst the usual bustle. The cheerful barks of dogs mixed with the rhythmic steps of joggers, occasionally interrupted by the soft hum of electric scooters zipping by. Amid this scene, one figure stood out, a man sitting quietly on an old wooden bench, hunched over a rusted electric scooter. His grease-stained hands skillfully disassembled parts, his gaze intent as though he was reading a familiar book. His tattered clothing did little to obscure the posture of someone who once deeply understood the mechanical world. His face bore the marks of hardship, with lines etched by time and struggle. Yet his eyes carried a peculiar light, a spark of genius, hiding a secret that no one else could comprehend. Elon Musk, enjoying a rare moment of leisure, strolled through the park. Normally, he paid little attention to such details, but something about the man caught his eye. There was a certain magnetism in the way he worked, a combination of intense focus and deft precision. This wasn't the fumbling of an amateur, it was the mastery of a craftsman. Elon approached, crouching slightly, his gaze inquisitive. "What are you working on?" he asked, his voice calm but clear, breaking the stillness around the bench. The man looked up, his eyes cautious. "Just trying to get this thing working again," he replied, his voice hoarse but steady. Elon glanced at the scooter. It was an old model, likely discarded long ago. But it wasn't just patched together, it had been rebuilt. Inside was a tangle of wires, connected with surprising ingenuity and creativity. "Judging by how you're working, I'd say you're not just an average repairman," Elon remarked, his eyes glinting with interest. The man remained silent for a moment before shrugging. "I used to be an engineer. Not anymore," he said, his tone somber, hinting at a long story. "What happened?" Elon pressed, his curiosity undisguised. The man set down his tool, his hands trembling slightly as he sighed. "Life has a way of teaching you that everything you know can disappear overnight," he said slowly. "But I guess I just can't stop doing what I love." Elon didn't respond immediately. He stepped back slightly, nodded, and then offered a faint smile. "I'm Elon. And you?" The man studied him for a long moment, as though deciding whether to answer. Finally, he said, "Nathan." "Well, Nathan," Elon said, his tone brimming with enthusiasm. "Mind if I watch? Seems like there's something I could learn from you." Nathan raised an eyebrow, puzzled but not annoyed. "Suit yourself," he replied and returned to his work. As Nathan began explaining the steps he was taking, his voice changed, becoming more animated and passionate. Elon listened intently, captivated not only by Nathan's skills but also by his approach to problem solving. This wasn't a man defeated by time. This was a genius hidden beneath years of hardship. In that moment, Elon didn't just see a homeless man fixing an electric scooter, he saw a story waiting to be told, a talent waiting to be uncovered. This encounter, though seemingly random, had sparked something far greater than either of them could have imagined. An hour passed in slow but profound conversation. At first, Nathan kept his distance, responding with brief, polite answers. But gradually, under Elon's patient and non-judgmental demeanor, his defensive shell began to peel away. He spoke about his current life, his days scavenging scrapyards for old components, and how he tinkered and assembled things from what others had discarded. Elon wasn't just listening, he was absorbing every word with genuine curiosity. What fascinated him wasn't just Nathan's technical brilliance but his resilience, a rare kind of strength that Elon seldom encountered. When the conversation came to a close, Elon stood, looking at Nathan with a contemplative expression, a spark of a new idea gleaming in his eyes. "Nathan, I think we should continue this conversation. Let me treat you to lunch," Elon said, his tone calm but carrying deeper meaning. Nathan hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. "Why would you want to hear my story? I'm just someone with nothing worth telling," he replied, his tone tinged with skepticism. "Not everyone can see the potential of a gemstone before it's polished," Elon answered, his smile soft but laden with meaning. "I believe there's something extraordinary about you." Nathan was silent for a moment, then gave a small nod. Little did he know, that decision would mark the beginning of an entirely new chapter in his life. At Aurora Cafe, the warm glow of the lights made the space feel both modern and inviting. Nathan sat across from Elon, feeling like a misfit in the elegant setting. The other patrons, dressed sharply and engaged in discussions about high-level projects, occasionally cast curious glances in his direction. The server, accustomed to hosting Tech Valley's business elite, placed a cup of coffee before Nathan without comment, though her unease at his worn attire was evident. Nathan sat stiffly, his shoulders drawn in as if trying to shrink from sight, while Elon leaned back in his chair, sipping espresso with the effortless ease of someone completely in control. "So, Nathan," Elon began, breaking the silence, "I saw the way you worked in the park. How you handled that electric scooter. You don't strike me as someone working just to get by. I want to know, what brought you there?" Nathan didn't answer immediately. He sat quietly, staring into his coffee cup as though trying to arrange his thoughts. After a long pause, he spoke. "I used to think I had everything. A dream job, a small family, and ideas I believed could change the world." Elon leaned forward, listening with unbroken attention. "I was an engineer," Nathan continued, his voice lowering. "I spent my youth working for an ambitious startup. But everything fell apart when the company was bought out by a large corporation. Suddenly, the ideas I poured myself into were tossed aside. They wanted me to cut costs, sacrifice quality. I refused." Nathan paused, as if the memory still carried its weight. "They didn't just fire me, they made sure I couldn't find work anywhere else. I became invisible in the industry I once loved." Elon took a sip of his coffee, his eyes reflecting a contemplative look. "No one gave you a second chance?" he asked, his tone calm. Nathan let out a hollow laugh. "The world doesn't work that way. When you fall, all people see is failure. They don't care about the story behind it." In the spacious Aurora Cafe, Nathan lowered his gaze to the cup of coffee in front of him. The warm yellow lights of the cafe reflected off the wooden table, creating a cozy atmosphere that failed to ease the tension on his shoulders. The muffled sounds of laughter and chatter from other tables seemed distant, while the occasional clinking of silverware echoed faintly, breaking the silence in his mind. Elon Musk, sitting across from him, leaned back in his chair with a relaxed demeanor, though his sharp eyes betrayed his seriousness. He clasped his hands together and looked directly at Nathan. "You worked on that scooter as if it was a part of you," Elon said, his voice low but firm. "What I saw in the park wasn't just skill. It was something deeper, a person who refuses to give up." Nathan smirked, a faint, tired smile appearing on his time-worn face. "Sounds poetic. But I bet you've heard stories like this 100 times before." "No, not like this," Elon replied, his eyes lighting up. "You might think I'm just flattering you, but I don't have time for unnecessary words. Your story isn't over. Nathan. Nathan sat silently for a moment, his hands gripping the edge of the table. Maybe, he murmured, his voice so soft it was almost inaudible. But my life isn't the kind of thing most people would be willing to invest in. Elon leaned forward, his gaze unwavering. I'm not like most people. Nathan. I'm not investing in your past. I'm investing in the future I see you can create. Elon's words made Nathan look up, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. He wasn't sure what Elon's intentions were, but for the first time in years, he felt a tiny spark of hope begin to flicker in his mind. 2 days later, Nathan walked through the large doors of a warehouse in the outskirts of the city. The space inside felt like an entirely different world, filled with gleaming high-tech machines under bright white lights. The soft hum of engines and the glow of control screens created an atmosphere brimming with creative energy. Elon stood near a control panel, motioning for Nathan to come closer. This is the Tesla Research Hub, he introduced, his voice tinged with pride. I want you to start here. But first, we'll need a small test. Nathan chuckled faintly. What are you testing me on? Repair skills or stress tolerance? Elon pointed to a drone lying motionless on a table. This is an autonomous drone. Its design is flawless in theory, but in practice, it's another story. My team has been struggling with it for over a month. It can't maintain stability under real-world conditions. I want to see what you can do. Nathan looked at the drone, his eyes scanning every detail on its sleek surface. And what if I can't fix it? He asked, his voice carrying a trace of uncertainty. That's fine, Elon said gently but firmly. What I want to see is how you approach the problem, not an immediate solution. Nathan nodded and stepped closer to the workbench. This wasn't just a technical challenge. It was an opportunity to prove to himself that he still had value. For the next few hours, Nathan immersed himself in the task. His hands moved as if they were rediscovering old memories of when he was a confident engineer. Each wire, each small component was meticulously examined. Do you have a set of precision tools? Nathan asked without turning around. Elon pointed to a nearby cabinet. You'll find everything you need in there, he said. Nathan opened the cabinet and pulled out tools he hadn't laid hands on in years. Time seemed to stop as he dismantled the drone piece by piece, uncovering flaws in its design. A broken sensor, an unstable connection, each problem became clear to him. With every repair and small adjustment, his confidence began to grow. Finally, as the last rays of sunlight disappeared beyond the horizon, Nathan stepped back and looked at the fully reassembled drone. He powered it on, and in a brief moment, the drone emitted a soft hum. With smooth movements, it lifted off the table, hovering steadily and precisely. From a distance, Elon clapped slowly, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. Well done, Nathan. That's all I needed to see from you. Nathan lowered his head slightly, a faint smile playing on his lips. Looks like I haven't lost everything after all, he said quietly. Elon nodded, his eyes gleaming with excitement. This is just the beginning. We're going to achieve great things, Nathan. For the first time in years, Nathan felt that everything had changed. This wasn't just another tech project, it was an opportunity to rebuild himself. Nathan's journey, a new chapter, had just begun. One quiet evening at the Tesla Research Hub, Nathan sat at his workstation, the white light of the desk lamp reflecting off the components he was assembling. Outside the window, the city had fallen into slumber, with only faint glimmers of distant lights remaining. A voice broke the silence, cutting through the stillness. Nathan, put the tools down for a moment. We need a break to refresh the mind, Elon said as he entered, leaning casually against the edge of the table, his eyes carrying a trace of mischief. Nathan looked up, surprised. At this hour? I'm not even done yet. Yes, at this hour, Elon replied, then turned decisively toward the door. I think you'll want to hear this. With no real choice, Nathan set his tools down and followed Elon outside. Aurora Cafe appeared as a peaceful oasis amidst the city's glowing lights. Its warm atmosphere, with wooden tables and the soft glow of yellow lights, created a setting that was both intimate and refined. Nathan hesitated as he stepped inside, feeling out of place amidst the sophistication of the cafe. But Elon, exuding ease, quickly guided him to a table near the window. 2 cups of coffee were placed before them, steam rising gently into the air. Elon took a small sip before setting his cup down, his sharp gaze fixed on Nathan, intense but not unkind. "Nathan, do you know why I noticed you the first time we met?" Elon began, breaking the silence. Nathan leaned back slightly, a flicker of caution in his eyes. "I'm not sure. But it's probably not because I'm good at conversation." Elon chuckled lightly but quickly returned to his serious demeanor. "I saw something that not everyone does. It wasn't just your skill, it was the way you refused to give up. You do everything with a determination that most people overlook." Nathan was momentarily taken aback by the comment. "You make it sound better than it is. But honestly, I'm just trying to survive." Elon leaned forward, his voice lowering but carrying weight. "Survival is one thing, but I see more than that in you. What you're doing isn't just fixing things, you're finding ways to change what others think is impossible. Where does that come from?" Nathan paused for a moment, staring into his coffee as if it held the answers. "I didn't have formal education. Everything I know came from taking things apart and figuring out how they worked. When I was a kid, I'd pick up anything discarded, old radios, broken TVs, whatever I could take apart. I didn't do it to impress anyone or make money. I did it because I wanted to understand." Elon listened intently, nodding slowly. "That explains why you see the world so differently." Nathan shrugged, a bitter smile tugging at his lips. "But that didn't help me keep my life together. When everything fell apart, my job, my family, my home, I didn't know how to get back up. All I had left was what I could fix. But no one gave me a chance to do it in a meaningful way." Elon sat up straighter, his eyes filled with empathy. "But that day, I saw something. You weren't just sitting there fixing an old scooter. You were trying to rebuild yourself, one small step at a time." Nathan looked at Elon, feeling those words tapping into a part of him he hadn't acknowledged before. "I've met a lot of talented people," Elon continued. "But what makes you different is that you don't just solve problems. You create opportunities from the things others throw away. I'll help you, but only if you're ready to stand up and believe in yourself." Nathan sat quietly for a moment, feeling the weight of those words. He had spent years tormenting himself over his failures, convincing himself that it was all over. But now, Elon was offering him something he couldn't turn down. Nathan took a deep breath, his gaze shifting, no longer defensive, now filled with determination. "If you really believe in me, then tell me what I need to do." Elon smiled, raising his coffee cup. "Start by changing the way you see yourself. The rest, we'll figure out together." Nathan woke to the soft, golden light filtering through the large windows of the studio apartment Elon had arranged for him. The gentle sounds of the morning filtered in from outside, birds chirping, the faint hum of distant traffic, and the rhythm of a world waking up. The space around him was minimalist but modern, a stark contrast to the cold park bench he had called home just weeks earlier. On the nearby desk, tools and components were neatly arranged, gleaming under the sunlight. These weren't just gifts from Elon, they were symbols of a new beginning, a spark of hope. Nathan got up, his hands brushing over the components, feeling each small detail as if preparing for a journey he couldn't afford to fail. Today was his first day at the new job, and the anticipation coursing through him made it impossible to sit still. This wasn't just about working at Tesla. This was a chance to prove that he was worthy of the faith Elon had placed in him. Arriving at the Tesla Innovation Center, Nathan stepped through the large doors and was immediately drawn into the atmosphere of creativity. The lively conversations, the glow of control screens, and the cutting-edge equipment created a vibrant rhythm, as if this place was the heart of the future. A young woman holding an iPad approached him. "Hi, Nathan. I'm Ava," she said with a bright smile. "Mr. Musk asked me to give you a tour. You'll be working with the robotics team on Project Horizon." Nathan paused, his steps halting for a moment. "Horizon? What kind of project is that?" he asked, his voice tinged with curiosity. Ava looked at him, her smile unwavering. "A big one. The goal is to develop a fully autonomous rescue robot that can operate in disaster zones without human intervention. We're at a critical stage, and Mr. Musk believes you'll be a perfect addition to the team." Nathan swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the opportunity. Though he didn't yet know what he could contribute, he understood that this was a turning point he couldn't afford to miss. In the main lab, Nathan met the robotics team. Curious eyes glanced at him, their silence not out of disdain but quiet assessment. Nathan paid little attention to it. He knew the only way to make an impression was to dive into the work. Once he started, Nathan seemed to merge with the environment. Technical issues were handled with precision and creativity. He proposed bold ideas, but instead of just theories, he turned them into tangible solutions. Gradually, the doubt in the team's eyes faded, replaced by recognition. Elon frequently appeared, observing from a distance. Once, he approached while Nathan was adjusting a robot sensor and said, "Nathan, I knew you'd do well. But seeing it in action, it's incredible." Nathan smiled, saying nothing. But inside, he felt a pride he hadn't known in a long time. Nathan's first breakthrough came when the team faced a challenge with the robot's mobility system. The current design couldn't maintain stability on complex terrains, and the team had hit a deadlock. After studying the design, Nathan proposed an unexpected solution, using a gyroscopic balance mechanism inspired by off-road motorcycle technology. "We need a dynamic center of gravity, something that adjusts to the environment," he explained, pointing to the sketches he had just drafted. At first, the team hesitated, but Nathan didn't waver. He built a small prototype on his own and demonstrated its capabilities in a field test. When the robot navigated rough terrain without any issues, the entire lab erupted in cheers. That evening, Nathan stood on the balcony of his apartment, gazing down at the city lights shining brightly below. A feeling he thought he had lost long ago returned: hope. The future no longer felt like a distant dream. He was living it. And this time, he was determined not to let anything stop him. A few weeks later, Elon called Nathan into his office. The room was quiet, with only the rhythmic tapping of a pen in Elon's hand breaking the silence. Nathan sat down, sensing the seriousness in the air. "Nathan," Elon began, leaning back in his chair, his gaze steady. "I've been closely following your work. What you've done isn't just solving problems, it's reshaping how we think about engineering. I want you to lead a new project." Nathan was taken aback, unable to hide his surprise. "Lead? But I've only been here a few weeks. I don't even have a formal engineering degree." Elon smiled, shaking his head. "I don't care about degrees. What I care about is what you've accomplished. And I know you can do even more. This project is something no one has ever done before, and I believe you're the best person for the job." Elon went on to describe the project: a personal AI assistant integrated into a modern wearable device. This device wouldn't just assist people with disabilities or the elderly, it would provide instant solutions in emergency situations. Nathan sat quietly, taking in all the information. This wasn't just an opportunity. It was a responsibility. But instead of feeling fear, he felt a fire ignite within him. "When can I start?" Nathan asked, his voice low but filled with determination. Elon smiled. "Right now." Nathan felt the project's concept unfold in his mind like waves, layer by layer revealing endless possibilities. An AI that didn't just understand but responded based on human thoughts and emotions. It wouldn't just be a tool, it would be a true companion. A natural extension of the human mind. We can't just create a device, Elon said, leaning back in his chair, his gaze distant but resolute. It has to be something extraordinary, something that helps people feel integrated with technology, not separated from it. It doesn't just assist, it must understand and accompany. Nathan looked Elon directly in the eye, feeling the weight of the idea. You want it to connect directly to the nervous system? Not just that, Elon replied, a faint smile forming on his lips. I want it to sense thoughts, understand emotions. A device that doesn't just listen but truly comprehends. Nathan took a deep breath, feeling those words surge through him like an electric current. I'm not sure we're ready for this, he said, though his eyes sparkled with excitement. But I want to try. The MindLink project launched with a team of the brightest minds, and Nathan was at the helm. The lab became a hub of energy and passion. The constant sound of typing, the glow of computer screens, and hours-long discussions created an unrelenting rhythm. Nathan wasn't just a problem solver. He was the catalyst that brought everyone together. His bold ideas often made the team pause, reconsider, and ultimately implement them. The days seemed endless, but no one complained. We're not just creating technology, Nathan said during a team meeting. We're changing how humans interact with themselves. This isn't just a project, this is the future. After months of relentless work, the first prototype of MindLink was finally complete. A compact, elegantly designed device, light as a headband, yet housing the most groundbreaking technology ever conceived. Every detail, every component bore the mark of dedication and creativity. The day of the first trial arrived. The team gathered in a secure lab, where every eye was fixed on the MindLink, resting on the table like a precious gem. Elon stood next to Nathan, his eyes gleaming with pride. Are you ready, Nathan? He asked. Nathan pressed his lips together, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders but also an inexplicable sense of excitement. I think we're all ready for this, he said firmly. The first test subject was Emily, a woman whose eyes carried stories of endurance and hope. Since childhood, she had struggled with communication, each word a battle. The team chose her not only because of the challenges she had faced but because she represented everything MindLink aimed to achieve. Nathan gently placed the device on Emily's head, carefully adjusting it to fit snugly. Don't worry, he said with an encouraging smile. Just think about what you want to say. The device will handle the rest. Emily nodded, but the tension in her eyes remained visible. In the first few moments, the room was steeped in a breathless silence. Then, suddenly, Emily's eyes widened. She placed a hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. And then, from those moments of anticipation, a voice emerged, clear and strong. I can speak, Emily exclaimed, each word pronounced perfectly. The room erupted. Cheers and applause filled the space. A few engineers couldn't hold back their tears. Nathan stood still, as though all his efforts over the years had finally been rewarded. Elon stepped forward and patted Nathan on the shoulder. I always knew you could do this. But witnessing this moment, there's nothing like it. Nathan said nothing, only looking at Emily, who was crying but smiling brighter than ever. This is just the beginning, he said, his voice filled with emotion. MindLink was more than just a product. It was a symbol of humanity's ability to transcend its limits. At that moment, Nathan had not merely completed a project. He had built a bridge between technology and humanity, a pathway for anyone to reach their full potential. And that, to him, was the true meaning of innovation. As the trials continued, Nathan felt every success as a monumental step forward. The device was not just functioning, it was genuinely transforming lives. Emily, the first to experience MindLink, was soon joined by others, each carrying their own inspiring story. Some found their voices again after years of silence, while others accomplished feats they had long thought impossible. An elderly man trembled as he moved his hand for the first time in years. A young girl, previously able to communicate only through her eyes, could now express her thoughts clearly. Tears, laughter, and pure joy were etched into every face. As the final trial concluded, Elon approached Nathan, placing a hand on his shoulder. His eyes shone with pride and conviction. "Nathan," Elon said, his voice gentle but weighty, "you haven't just created a device. You've given humanity a new chance. This isn't just about technology. It's about hope. About the future." Nathan didn't respond immediately. He turned to look around the laboratory, where his team was applauding. The volunteers were chatting happily, and everyone radiated positivity. For a moment, everything seemed to slow down, and Nathan reflected on the journey he had taken. From the days of scraping by on the streets to this moment, standing in a room full of people who believed in him, Nathan felt the power of his own transformation. "Thank you, Elon," Nathan said, his voice trembling slightly but full of determination. "But I think this is just the start. We have so much more to do." Months later, at a grand Tesla event, MindLink was officially introduced to the world. The auditorium sparkled with lights, filled with hundreds of journalists, engineers, and esteemed guests. The atmosphere was electric, as though everyone was waiting for something that would alter the course of history. Nathan stood beside the stage, his heart pounding as he gazed at the symbol of the project, the MindLink, proudly displayed on a gleaming pedestal at the center. It was more than just a device. It was a dream that had come true. When it was his turn to speak, Nathan stepped onto the stage. He felt the eyes of hundreds of people fixed on him, filled with anticipation. He took a deep breath, looked out at the crowd, and began. "Welcome, everyone," Nathan started, his voice strong yet filled with emotion. "MindLink is not just a piece of technology. It is a gateway to a future where technology does not just serve humanity but intertwines with our lives, helping us overcome barriers that once seemed insurmountable." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the faces in the hall. "But for me, MindLink is more than that. It is a reminder that any one of us, no matter where we start, can achieve extraordinary things if we dare to believe in our potential." Elon stood nearby, nodding slightly, his eyes filled with satisfaction. "Nathan, what you just said captures the very spirit of MindLink," he said quietly as Nathan concluded his speech. Nathan smiled, feeling the immense support from Elon and his team. He knew that this moment was not an ending but the beginning of a longer, larger journey. "We did it," Nathan said, looking at the crowd before him. "But now, the bigger question is, what will you do if given the chance to change the world?" The hall erupted into thunderous applause. Nathan stepped down from the stage, his heart swelling with confidence. His journey was not just about a technological device but about humanity's ability to transcend every limitation and create the extraordinary. For Nathan, this was not the conclusion of a project. It was the beginning of a legacy, a story that would continue to be written by future generations. Nathan walked out of the hall, the evening sunlight shining down as if congratulating him on his success. MindLink was not just a device but a symbol of resilience, belief in human potential, and a future where technology truly serves humanity's progress. He knew that this journey had not only changed his life but also opened new opportunities for millions of others. From the days of struggling to survive to this moment, leading a revolutionary innovation, Nathan understood that life is not about where you start but about how you rise and move forward. With MindLink, he had not just changed the world, he had proven that every individual possesses extraordinary potential if given the opportunity to shine. "This journey belongs to all of us," Nathan thought as he stepped into the light, ready to face new challenges and embrace new opportunities. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to hit like, share it to spread the message, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more incredible stories like this. Let's explore more heartfelt journeys where dreams are not just chased but made into reality. Lightbulb sparkles. Thank you for joining us. Raising hands.